Hey everyone, I'm Jake Durant with JDL Access, and I am back with Danielle Bargull for video 5, the final video in our series on wound care reimbursement. Today we're looking at the future of Medicare LCDs for skin substitutes and how patient access programs can help you prepare. Let's level set real quick. There's a new LCD with an effective date of April 13th, 2025, though that could still change. Just like it did earlier this year, what's different about this one is that it's being developed by all 7 Macs, so it will apply nationwide. Danielle, one of the biggest concerns I've heard around this new documentation requirements. What do you recommend that providers focus on to ensure proper claim submissions if these LCDs go through?
All right, Jacob. So the providers will need to document exactly what's in the LCDs. For example, whether the patient has received all tried and failed conservative treatments, whether the wound has failed to show 50% area reduction, and certainly the number of applications. Once a patient had their fourth application, they would need to ensure that the KX modifier is used on the claim form.
Okay, so with this new LCD, we want to make sure, similar to what we see with the prior LCDs, everything that's listed is absolutely included, but it's just going to be incredibly vital with this new LCD. Okay, so let's talk about the approved product list. Probably the biggest proposed change. If your product's on the list that's being used for DFUs or VLUs, things should probably go smoothly. But what about everyone else?
Yeah, so most of the 18 DFU products and the 5 VLU products are already supported by their own programs. But if you're not on that list and you haven't submitted new evidence through the reconsideration process, that's where we can still also help.
So it's not a lost cause.
Not at all. So at any time, you can submit new clinical studies to the MACs to ask for inclusion in the LCDs. And we can also help with the patient appeals case by case for consideration of medical necessity. Every case helps build support, as we have discussed in this series. And we can also use the new clinical studies to submit during case by case patient appeals, which will help to provide more attention to the studies. So even if you're not on the list yet, there are still paths to coverage.
Okay, so that's good news. Now, for the products used outside of DFUs and VLUs, like pressure ulcers or surgical wounds, what can JDL Access do?
So those cases still rely on medical necessity, just like before. We follow the same process that we talked about in video 2. We submit the claim. If it's denied, we work through the appeals process. There's just one warning though. We can only support products when they're used on label. Providers can always use clinical judgment, but our team is limited to on label support only.
That makes sense. All right, so let's wrap up our video series. Danielle, thank you so much for all of your insights and all the valuable information. And to everyone watching, if you have any questions whatsoever or want to talk to JDL Access about how we can support your company, please don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you so much for joining us throughout the series. Thank you.